DSP has finally dropped an X version of one of my absolute favorite plugins that they've ever released. The Archetype Rabea plugin is tied for first place with the Archetype Gojira in my world because this thing is just full of amazing tones and you can do almost anything with it, and it's got all the bells and whistles with the synthesizer and just awesome tonal and sonic goodness, and you'd be so wrong if you didn't have the original one already. But with the record of how DSP has been going back and doing X versions of their plugins that they've released up until this point, because they're trying to make them more compatible with the Quad Cortex and whatnot, they're also doing a revamping with the X version of the plugins that are standalone or working in your DAW. And today, we're just going to take a look at some of the new changes to this plugin and mess around with it a bit because I haven't played it in quite some time. So let's just dive into what some of the changes are, and so you can see for yourself. And by the way, the X version of any DSP plugin is free to download if you already own the original. It is not something that you have to pay extra for. It is a separate standalone program or application, but it is free for you to download if you own the original. If you don't own the original, then buy the X version. I don't know if they limit you from not being able to get the X version or not, but you'd be so wrong not to get the X version of any plugin that they do because it is just that much better than the original. So some of the changes they have made start with the Overlord synth section, which is one of my favorite aspects of this plugin, and it makes this plugin absolutely unique and absolutely freaking awesome. So they've fully revamped the UI, and they've included a visual waveform representation for an even more intuitive tone shaping experience. They've added 3 new noise options for the oscillators, white, pink, and pulse, and they've also added a glide knob for smoother transitions between notes. So that's pretty cool. So as we can see over here, this is the synthesizer side. You can hear me playing, right? That's one of my favorite things about this plugin. So cool. Like, you get to play your guitar, but it sounds like a synth. So I guess what they've added is maybe this is the waveform thing in the middle here. So if I'm messing with the tone or any of these settings, right, you can see some of the changes here as opposed to just turning a knob. So I don't know where the waveform thing is. I'm guessing it's this thing in the middle here. So I can already tell that the glide knob is turned not all the way up, but up a decent amount to make the transitions between notes a little smooth. Not that it was really that bad. If we turn it all the way up, what does it sound like? So it makes it very glidey. So that's pretty cool. I actually like that. So that's pretty cool. That makes things a little smoother. You can get some weird legato synthy sounds that doesn't sound so chopped up like it did in the original. So I actually really like that, and that makes me feel good that they thought of that as something that you can add here. So now I'm trying to find the noise section for the different choices between the noise. So we've got the amplifier, we've got the oscillator, we've got the unison of the notes and octaves, we got the second oscillator, and then we've got the filter. Now, where is the noise? Okay, so I found it. So in the oscillators, you've got your sine wave, triangle, sawtooth wave, square wave, and then you've got a pulse wave, you've got white noise, and you've got pink noise. Okay, so let's just run through the different types of waves that we can run with in noise with the oscillator. So I've got just one turned on, and this is the sine wave. So if we move over to triangle, we move over to sawtooth, very 80s synth, and this is going to be a square wave. Then we move into the new stuff. So we got pulse. That's very interesting. We got white noise. All right, and then we got pink noise. Now, obviously, you would use those in different ways and in pairs to do different things. I don't know what to do with white and pink noise very much, but I guess they're there for those real deep synth users. Really make some kind of sound, I guess. Kind of like a distortion kind of thing, maybe, but yeah, that's those. So one of the other new things that they added is a tuner that is now a live tuner that displays at the bottom of the UI if you want to turn that on. So you go to the bottom settings here and you hit your tuner. And you've got your normal tuner here if you want to make sure you're in tune. As you can see, I'm a little sharp-ish. But you can turn this button, the switch at the bottom here for a live tuner, and then it'll bring it down in the bottom left corner here. So when you're playing, you can see where your tuning is. That's pretty cool. That's a nice addition. It's always good to kind of keep an eye on where you're at. If you're using this thing live or just standalone, it's nice to see where your notes are, and it's a lot easier to tune when you can just look at the bottom left as opposed to having to click something and open it up and do that whole thing. You could just look down there at a glance and make sure that your stuff is in tune, so that's really nice. I do believe the metronome is also new to the X versions of plugins, so this is really cool, and I've talked about it in the other X versions, but you have a nice metronome that you can practice to, right? And you can change the tempo. You can speed it up to something like 200 if you want. But the fun comes when you come up here and you can change the time signature to a bunch of different time signatures and subdivisions of things that are odd meters. But you can also have different sounds. So you've got a blip, you've got a block and shaker, cowbell, digital, which is nice for me because it sticks out when you're playing heavy tones, drum kit, and soft kit. So the drum kit is one that I would probably use a lot because you can increase the volume here and you can change what's being played, right? I don't know, playing something stupid, but the point is, you got this cool metronome drum kit machine that you can add all sorts of different meters into and have a basic thing to play along with. That way you're practicing in time when you're working on your timing and your rhythm skills and building up your speed if you're playing guitar and stuff. So it's a nice addition. It's coming with all of the X plugins, so this was fully expected to be in here. So the only other thing that I can read on the website that I've been able to pick up on that's new in the X update is in the lead amp section on the cabinet. They've added a vintage V30 speaker to this amplifier and cabinet. So You've got all the mic placements that they have included here with the dynamic condenser and ribbon mics, but now you have a vintage V30 speaker in there, which is nice because that's kind of a go-to for rock and metal, and it just sounds good for it just sounds good, and it works for that kind of thing. If you're not playing rock and metal, I mean, it still can sound really good in things, but it is very, very overused in rock and metal, but it just sounds so good. So they've added that, and that's really nice that they're actually adding usable features that are different as opposed to just cleaning things up. So now I'm going to play through some tones and just noodle around because I haven't messed with this in a long time, and despite me saying that it is one of my favorite plugins that they have, I just haven't been playing much guitar lately, unfortunately. But I noticed something here that when I went to go to Rabea's presets, they've got the legacy presets from the original plugin, and now he's got some X presets that must be different. So let's mess around with a few of those and see what kind of tones we can get. We've got an ambient hold. Rabea just makes really good tones. I'm sorry, it just is what it is. Long decay. Love that. Nice, just clean, long, delayed. Goodness, like his tones, octave chimes. Is this a cleany, crunchy thing? Me likey. I like it, I like it. Swell it good. I just, as thick as you like. That's something I would definitely use to thicken up a riff. If you're in a stoner rock or something, that would work really, really well. Fuzz Town Down. nice tone there. I don't mind. Jostled rip. It's just, he comes up with the craziest kinds of tones, and let's listen to some of his synthy stuff, because that's kind of a good juiciness of this plugin. That kind of thing being paired up with guitars in a lead sense and kind of a dream theater unison type of thing. That's where I feel like this stuff fits really well with the synth. Oh. Yeah, that could be an EDM thing. I can see that. Nothing wrong with that. Definitely a different use for lots of different people. Let's jump to the one that I was trying to hit, Pokey Synth. I like that one. That one's a very kind of video gamey type of synth. I like it. Shaman synth horns. What's that? There's something that you get lost in playing these kinds of things, and you know, like, there's so many options, you get option paralysis. Thought would be possible with just playing my guitar. And like, obviously you've got all the different artists here that have presets built in, even Leo from Frog Leap Studios. You've got lots and lots and lots of Neural DSP presets and my own that I made a long time ago, like, and you've got all the legacy presets from Rabea. They are all really, really good. You can't go wrong with anything you pick in this plugin. And I gotta say, like, Rabea is one of my favorite guitar players, and the fact that this plugin is so awesome makes it that much better. And I just love it to death. So there's not a bunch of huge changes. We got some extra options in the synth section. We got a new cabinet speaker in the speaker section for the lead amp, and we got some of the default X stuff with like the updated metronome and the tuner and stuff. The UI, the UI, it looks really good. It looked good to begin with, but now it just looks even better. And one of my favorite amps, to be honest, is the lead one, and they're all really good. This one I like a lot. It's got a very steampunk thing. This one's probably my least favorite, but it's still cool. I understand it. But the third one is the one that I like the most. It's got like a fucking black hole with souls being sucked in kind of vibe, and it makes sense with it being, you know, with a lead. It just works, and I get lost with all of these plugins, but this plugin is the one that I've gotten lost in the most. I love him as a guitar player and an artist. I love his music, and the features and technology that have gone into this plugin make it one of the best that you can possibly get, and one of the most feature-filled that you can get from Neuro DSP, period. So if there was ever one that you wanted to get that's a catch-all for all the cool things and bells and whistles, you have two options in my opinion. Archetype Rabea, which would be my first choice, and the Petrucci plugin and Nolly. Those are the ones that I feel like have the most feature-packed options, and you know, I would Petrucci stick to for like mostly solos and some clean stuff. Nolly's pretty decent for rhythm stuff. It's one of the OG plugins, but then Rabea is just like high gain, chunky goodness, progressive metal sounds with some synth stuff that's really awesome. So if you own the original Rabea, go download this one because it's free. If you don't own Rabea to begin with, now's the time to do it because it's even better now. So it's definitely worth it, and I think you can get it for 30% off right now. So jump on that while you can because it's an amazing plugin. That's all. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Stay metal, my friends.